I'm a DJ boy, going to Dcentral, minting NFT, farming DeFi, being crypto poor but JPay rich.
How's everybody doing? Good? How many people here are building a community right now, Web3? That's why you're probably here, right, listening to this. Okay, so it's very interesting. So let's start. Noel, talk a little bit, introduce yourself, what you're doing right now, so everybody just kind of get context of who you are.
Awesome. Thank you, Casey. My name is Noel Borges. I have the pleasure of being a co-founder and CEO of MintBlack. MintBlack, we work with a number of creators, one of which is hip-hop legend Jim Jones. And we helped Jim Jones early on launch his social token. So MintBlack is the social token platform, and we help creators like Jim create a community. And, well, Jim already has a community, so how do we then create that community within Web3 by bringing folks over and doing so with social tokens.
Okay, cool. And then so Sam, yeah. So you've already explained you're with ATX DAO. What is a City Dow exactly, and how does it help Austin?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, a City Dow is a DAO like any other DAO, but it's slightly different in which we're not just an online community, we're an IRL first community, and the whole point of a City DAO is not just about crypto, it's about the city. It's more so about the city in and of itself that we operate in, more so than crypto in and of itself. But the whole idea of a City DAO is basically, the whole premise is to make their cities where they operate in better via crypto. The way that this usually takes form and the way that this transpires in real life is via three main avenues. One is specifically community building, so connecting all the crypto people in a given city. The other one is doing a lot of projects, so onboarding people onto the Web3 economy, creating projects for businesses, artists. I don't know if you guys got the chance to hear that we just launched an NFT mural project on Native Hustle to support the local artist scene here in Austin. And the third one that we do a lot is policy research. So I've had the chance to testify in front of City Council quite a few times. I've gone to testify in front of the Texas blockchain working group from the Texas State Congress. So a lot of policy research as well, and all of those things focusing on the same idea of making Austin a better city via crypto.
Cool, and my name is Casey Lau. I'm the co-founder of a new company called THNDRHS, but I've been building communities since Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. So the concept is always the same, building community. The tools are just different every time, right? Before, Facebook was the massive thing to get people together. Now it's Twitter, it's Discord, it's things like that. So maybe let's start talking about that right now. For you Noel, starting your community, like how do you start a community now for what you're doing?
Absolutely. So I do see a lot of folks go to Twitter and Discord, and those are certainly great tools and avenues to bring together community. Similar to what was mentioned a moment ago about IRL, we see tremendous value, and now in this, as we're transitioning out of COVID lockdown and folks are able to come together and congregate, we see it as a tremendous opportunity for folks to get together, not just online, but offline and in person, because that's where the magic is created. That's where the conversations, the connections, we're able to cultivate and brainstorm ideas. So one example are the satellite events. I think the conferences are fantastic. I think the satellite events is where a lot of the conversation is able to continue. So one event we did early on at NFT NYC was an NFT fashion gallery at Soho at Clockwork. I have a hat that says Clockwork, representing the boutique. And in this space, we had several hundred people that came together. And we were able to not just have it where it's conversation, but make it fun, right? We say we bring the fun and fungible. And so we like to have games, whether it's trivia or have Who Wants to Be a Crypto Millionaire, and having comedian hosts, having magicians, making experiential, sensorial, having it an experience where it brings people together and we could just let loose, have drinks, hang out, connect, build, and through that, ideas are born and new projects come to fruition. And so we see at MintBlack an opportunity to be intentional about the Web3 IRL experiences, which is fairly new because it's only been a year or so that we've been able to get together in large crowds. And in doing so, we're seeing this shift from everything happening on Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse to now being able to forge those communities in person, IRL.
Yeah, that's so weird, right? We this whole industry basically launched on like Clubhouse in an audio format, and then it's grown so far. But a lot of people have not. Sometimes this is maybe a lot of people's first in real life meetups since the beginning, right? So Sam, I know Austin is such a social city. Like, I don't know what it was like here during the pandemic. I was here for South by, and it felt a little bit, hasn't really completely come back yet, but how does a DAO like do IRL meetings in a city that's so, in person?
Yeah, so something that I wanna bring up about creating communities in Web3, that I think we've done really well at ATXDAO, and it's super relevant to anyone who's trying to build a community. And not only at ATXDAO, I'm also, like my day job, technically, I do crypto at Google Cloud. So I'm a crypto engineer at Google Cloud, but I also do a lot of community work internally at Google. And we also created a very strong internal crypto community at Google of just like normal Googlers who do a lot of, who just want to learn more about crypto, want to push the company to do more stuff in crypto and to like stay aligned with the ethos of the space. And I think in both communities, something that is very clear and that has made us successful internally at Google as well as ATXDAO is the clarity of the mission. And going to the very title of this panel of like how do you go from ideation to execution, I think is like the clarity of the mission of the community. It's not just friends who get together to have beers, it's people who are working towards the same goal. And for us at ATXDAO, for instance, you can ask anybody at the DAO, what are you guys doing? Everybody's gonna tell you the exact same word, which is our slogan, our main catchphrase is we're making Austin the crypto capital of the world. Everyone is behind that vision, and everyone in the community is behind the same vision. And when you ask internally at Google from the Googlers community, what are you guys doing? We want to help Google move into the space in a way that is sound and aligned with the ethos of the space. Everyone is aligned with the same vision. So I think that's what's really making the community strong and what makes the community strong. And I think from there, if you have the possibility to be in the same geographical location like we do with ATXDAO, it's easy to have people aligned to start building those friendships, and then the idea to just start meeting up in person just comes naturally.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I've spent the pandemic in Vancouver, Canada. How many Canadians in here? Anybody from Canada? All right, thank you. All right, great. So basically, during the pandemic, I'm in Vancouver, and you don't really meet anybody except the online people. And then just earlier this year, I set up a new group called Webcouver, because I wanted to meet a lot of the Web3 people that were happening. And the easiest way to do it was just start a meetup. And my background is also setting up big conferences, tech conferences. So having a focus, like you were saying, it was very important, right? So the first one was basically, what's the state of the union right now in crypto, in Web3, in Vancouver, and have all these people show up. So we rented a space maybe for 50 people, because I don't even know how many people were involved in this. We had 300 people on the wait list to get into a space that only hold 150 people. But that was exciting to see, because there was such a demand for this kind of stuff, right? It's not a DAO, but the DAO, the YVR DAO, is now kind of being born out of this. And all these other events are now popping up that are very, very, vertical in its scope, right? So there might be a fashion NFT, an art NFT group, and they're having their own meetups. So the whole thing is spreading out, becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. How do you think that might happen, in your line, in what you guys are doing, in terms of like in New York or New Jersey or around the different parts in the U.S.? Do you see that there'll be more of these kind of vertical events that are being then brought back online, or do you think it's the other way around?
Right, great question. I think both. I think we'll see events or conversations happen online that will then be continued in person, and vice versa. We'll see in-person conversations take place. So we're working with the Board Hospitality Group, and we're doing an event during NFT NYC. That's the kickoff event on the 19th. And that event there, it's a group of folks who collect, who are Bored Ape holders. And while they can certainly go to the Ape Fest, which is also taking place during NFT NYC, here's a Bored Ape holder that came together and collaborated with a few folks to bring 400 or 500 people consistently in New York City. And so there's this sub-community of folks. And from that, we then launched them, not just Bored Ape holders, but Bored Ape friends to start to bring people into the space. We'll also see, to your point about vertical specific. So the event we did during NFT NYC was, previous one was specifically for fashion. And so this one coming up we're doing during NFT NYC, the grand finale is focused on, it's called the MintBlack party. And so around music. And so one of the folks we worked with, of course, Jim Jones, we've done drops with Neo and other celebrities we worked with. And so we see a community that's interested in music. And so how do we bring those folks together, and as well as the tangential verticals beyond music. And if we look, there are probably 100 plus satellite events, and most of them are specific. Someone like Latasha also is a Web3 artist, again, very specific on music. And so we're starting to see this idea of being focused and narrow versus a crypto conference like this is broad, right? Intentionally to be able to attract, several thousand people. And the satellite events is where you're able to go deep on a particular topic.
Yeah, I don't know if that happened before, but I definitely see like in conferences, the satellite events becoming more and more popular and stronger than actually maybe even the main event, right? Because people, I don't know if they really want to hear us talk, right? You can go on Twitter Spaces and hear us talk anytime, but you can't really meet people face to face, have those kind of, just spontaneous meetings at a bar or whatever, at a concert or whatever, where you can see like-minded people. Sam, I mean, what do you think? You're more like a City Dow. How do you onboard new people into your community here in Austin? Are they Web3 ready or are they Web3 curious coming in?
Yeah, so I do want to answer that question specifically, but I want to share a few thoughts on the online versus IRL idea first. So I think so far, well, let's take a step back. If you think how long this whole idea of community Web3 has been going on for, unless you're like a super hardcore crypto, like OG from, 2013, 2010 even, 2008, who knows, or even before that, I would say that things started in, 2017? So it's been 5 years since like this idea of community started to form. Mind you, half of those years have been in a pandemic, right? So we were doing online communities, not only because that was like the way, but like because that's the only thing that we could do. But I think the way that community is happening in crypto right now is, I wouldn't say wrong, but is inversed. It is an online first, IRL second. You connect with people online, you make friends with them either via Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, whatever it is, and then you meet up in person. Then you actually have a conference. You meet people on Discord, and then you work together towards the same goal. You launch a protocol together, and then there's one meetup, one global meetup that everybody tries to get together at one place. This is good. It works. But what we're trying to do with the movement of City Dow is flip that model on its head. Start IRL first, then go online. And this is so valuable because, yes, it is harder to reach global scale, but the friendships that you create at the ground level are so powerful. The people that I work with at ATX DAO, they're not just like DAO fellows, they're my friends. Who from the online communities that you have can you actually call a friend? Not just a friend as in like, hey, GM friend, but like an actual friend. Like, have you been to their house? Have you had beers with them? Do you know their family? It sounds weird because we're not used to doing community in this way in Web3. But when you start from the ground up, when you actually start with IRL communities, you actually become real friends with them, And that's so powerful because this level of connection is not happening yet in Web3. Simply because it's hard to do it online, extremely hard to do it online. So that's the one thought that I wanted to share. I think thinking about community building, starting IRL first and then going online is the way to do it, and that's what we're trying to pursue. Specifically on onboarding, though, as I was telling you, City DAOs are not necessarily about crypto insofar as they are about the city. So we are, yes, a bunch of crypto bros and crypto sisters who are part of the DAO, but we don't we don't do crypto for the sake of crypto. We do crypto as a tool to make Austin better. So a lot of the people who we work with, and even the people who get involved in the DAO, either via being official members or just being members of the extended community, are non-crypto natives, have absolutely no idea about crypto. They like government stuff. They do policy research, and they want to make Austin better, and they think that crypto is that tool, right? So there's a lot of education that goes with building IRL communities because a lot of people who you work with in IRL are not necessarily well crypto-versed, and that is totally fine. That makes it so that a lot of City DAOs are not just the same echo chamber that you find in all the online communities in which everyone just drinks the Kool-Aid and keeps repeating the same ideas. There's a lot of sound and objective discussion about the best ways to move the city forward via crypto. So I think that's part of the advantage of IRL, right? It's not an echo chamber. You build much deeper relationships, and you also get the chance to interact with a lot of people outside of the space, keep your ideas in check, and also, just build community at a deeper level.
You're just as good a panelist as you are MC.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks
that.
for being here. But I also want to know, just like, how do you onboard these people that are not, maybe they don't understand what is Web3, what is a DAO? but they want to be part of it, right? So what do you think are ways to just bring those people into it?
Yeah, so objectively, and that's something that we're working on our blueprint for City Dow, is objectively we do have an education committee in which the focus of the education committee is just to, surprise, educate people, right? So we host Discord spaces every I think it's every Tuesday or every Wednesday about a specific topic. So for a given month, we choose something. So last month was, for example, the Cosmos ecosystem. So we chose Cosmos, and we started to do a bunch of events on Cosmos and IBC, the Cosmos SDK, and so on. So choosing different topics every month, and then doing a lot of sessions on that topic to educate the community. That's for the internal. So in our Discord, we have member-only channels and general community channels. That's for general community. Outside of the people who are in our Discord, because if you're in a Discord, you technically have an idea or so about crypto, but if you're completely oblivious, then it's just a matter more so than just straight up education. It's about marketing. It's about actually sitting down with people who have no idea about crypto, who think all of this is a scam and magic internet money, and taking them seriously. It's not just like dismissing their ideas, but actually saying, okay, why do you think that crypto is not... What do you think crypto is just a scam? And actually sitting with these people either via a one-on-one conversation or just via the public messaging that you have, and actually walking them through why crypto matters, why crypto is important. So I think it's both. I think it's like actual education and a lot of just like broad marketing that is also education as well.
Noel, some people in the audience, maybe they don't have a famous DJ or famous artist to help them promote their community. What kind of ideas do you think, besides maybe free beer, free pizza, do you think is a way to start bringing people into a new community?
Absolutely. I think it starts small. I don't think it's about bringing together 1,000 people at once. It's doing meetups. And you can use online to bring together folks offline. So it's simple as putting an Eventbrite. You'll be surprised how many people will RSVP for your Eventbrite. And without having, here's the topic, here's what we plan to discuss. Maybe you get a sponsor for food or drinks hors d'oeuvres, and folks will come. Especially if you do it around other conferences. And so rather than doing it on a particular week where there isn't an NFT NYC, a consensus, be intentional and think about when is a conference taking place, and let me set up a satellite event. Oftentimes, the conference will list for free your event. And so same with NFT NYC, you're able to list it, and you'll get several hundred people who might RSVP for it and show up. And from there, you're building the community. So you can use, in a way, you're leveraging the fact that that conference has already brought several thousand crypto enthusiasts and crypto curious together. And now it's a matter of doing an event around that. And if you want to, you can continue to do small meetups, and then slowly you can launch a MintBlack party.
I just want to make a comment on this. Also, something that works really well to start creating community is to do things that sound ridiculous. So for South by, and going off what you were saying of like doing events surrounding satellite events, for South by, I started the tradition this year with a bunch of my friends doing a huge hot pot. But I don't call it a hot pot, I call it Crab Fest. And basically what I do is I grab 5 pounds of crab, and I make crab salad, and I invite all my friends, and everybody brings food. And it's just like, it's super low key. I just host it at my apartment. But like the catch is like, yeah, come eat 5 pounds of crab salad with all of us. It just sounds ridiculous. It's catchy. People come. Just to give another example, for my birthday coming up in a couple of weeks, I rented the climbing gym here in Austin, and I'm going to do a sleepover at the climbing gym. How many times have you gone to sleep over at a climbing gym? You haven't, right? It's kind of ridiculous, and it's cool, and actually drives people to come. Or yesterday, for example, I organized a low-key meetup of climbing, tacos, and beers. And it's just like, it's either being extremely ridiculous and actually driving people via the ridiculousness of the event, or driving them via the difference of the event. So all the meetups that are happening this week are going to be probably at a bar, at a club. It's going to be drinks, and it's going to be very loud music, and you're going to be yelling to try to talk to everybody else. I am willing to bet that by the end of the week, you're not going to have a voice. It's always the case when you go to these events. So doing something different, like, hey, let's go climbing, actually works really well, because people are like, oh, shit, like I actually want to do something different. I don't just want to go and yell at your face and try to talk to you at a bar because I'm going to be doing the rest of the week.
No yelling at faces during this pandemic time. That's a problem, right? Another thing, that's fantastic advice. I've also subscribed to everything you guys said. Another thing I want to add to that, though, is consistency. I think that is very important. If you're going to do something on a Monday or a Tuesday or even a Friday night, you need to keep it going. I think some people won't make it, they're whatever busy at those times. But as long as you know that it's always there, people will start to learn about it and they will join you. It doesn't have to be the same venue, but the idea is that it has to be consistent, that people know and will share their, there's this, Web3, music group meetup in whatever, San Diego. Maybe you should, be part of that. Or if you're in San Diego, you should be at that kind of thing. I think that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Just one point, Casey. Sorry, I'm really passionate about the topic of community.
Yeah.
Two things that I want to mention on the community side, for the community builder specifically, is one of the things that keeps a lot of people from building community is the fear of failing at building community.
Yes.
And that fear of failing at building community comes from a wrong perspective about what it means to build community. Because building community is not about yourself. And that is something that I myself, as a community builder here in Austin, have been trying to get over for a long time. Is like, yes, I'm building a community, but it's not about me. The community that I'm building is not a solar system in which I'm in the middle, I'm the sun, and people are revolving around me, and I have the gates to the community. It's not about that. It's about connecting people and promoting synergy so that if you leave the scene, the community can go on without you. Because there's going to be times they're going to be sick, they're going to be tired, they're going to be burnt out, and the community needs to keep going without you. And if you build a community and a culture of the community that goes and revolves around you, whenever you're gone, the community is going to die. And the reason why it's just egotistical, and it's not in a bad way. It's just like the nature of human beings. When you do something cool and people start thanking you for it, yeah, it feels good. But it's a very conscious mental work that you need to do to remind yourself that it is not about you. And when you realize that it is not about you, the fear of failing at building community goes away, because you realize, oh, if I fail, yeah, sure, like it wasn't necessarily about me. So I didn't necessarily fail, which is like I tried to create a community that wasn't ready to be created. So understanding that creating community is not about you gets away the fear, gets away the ego of building community, and as a consequence, gets away the fear of failing at building community.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I also agree. I remember doing events at the beginning in Web 2, getting 100 people to show up, and then next week maybe only 20 people showed up, so you feel kind of bad, but you just have to keep going. It's the consistency, I think, is very important to the whole thing. We only have 5 minutes left, so the next question I want to ask you guys, so what are some of the tools that you use now, right? We're talking about Eventbrite. I can't believe we're still using that. I hate Eventbrite, but it's still the thing. I have so many Eventbrite emails in my inbox right now with all kind of just very generic names of events. Web3 Mixer, NFT Gallery Mixer. What are some of the things that you suggest some of the audience members to use? Should they just start getting on Twitter Spaces? Should they start Discord? Is there something new that you are using that you think has got better traction? Talk about that.
Sure. So one thing I think will make community building fun are social tokens, right? So MintBlack is the social token platform, and we're going to see, for folks who are going to remain here in Austin for Consensus, the desk coin as a great example of what's possible with the social token. And we'll see...
Talk a little bit about that. What is that?
Yeah.
The desk?
So the desk coin is... CoinDesk created the Desk coin, which is their social token that will be infused throughout the conference. And so folks who are in possession of a certain number of Desk coin will be able to attend specific events. So it'll be a VIP where the only way you can get in is by holding X number of tokens, and you will be able to win it. An example would be even what we're doing at the MintBlack party, or we're also launching an event, conference called Crypto Pop in El Salvador. And that will be several thousand people there to celebrate Bitcoin become a legal tender 1 year anniversary. And the Crypto Pop token you'll be able to redeem it if you attend the conference, same at Consensus. While every panel you participate in, you'll earn X number of tokens. And then the tokens you can use perhaps to buy additional merch, maybe to pay for food at a local food truck, or you can use it to purchase an NFT that might be exclusive for that particular event. Now, certainly that's incredible at a large scale, at a Consensus or Crypto Pop. We'll also see that happen for events. And so FWB has events where the only way you can get in is if you hold the social token, and that's your access. And we'll also see it meetups, we'll see it as a way to gamify the experience. And so when we do Who Wants to Be a Crypto Millionaire, and we make it a fun, interactive experience, what you're earning are social tokens that you can then use for other experiences. So the goal isn't to make it static where we're speaking, you're listening. Let's make it interactive. Let's make it sensorial. Let's make it dynamic. Let's make it fun. Let's put the fun in fungible.
More exciting than a POAP, sounds like. Sam, how about yourself? Any tools?
Tools. I think when it comes to tools, we suffer the issue, and this perhaps goes back to the online versus IRL. When it's online, it's really easy to scale, and then you have Discord channels with thousands of people in which keeping up with the Discord channel is practically impossible. So you also have like Twitter Spaces with like hundreds of people in which having some sort of meaningful interaction is practically impossible as well. I think something that has worked really well for me, and this may just be like my style of organizing events, is genuinely just like Telegram chats that are ephemeral. So you have like, you announce an event that you're putting together and a bunch of course the Eventbrite and all that stuff always works, but if you want to actually get some conversation and interaction going, announce the event that is happening in a bunch of broad channels, create a Telegram channel, organize, coordinate things there, start building connections there, and then share pictures, share ideas, jokes, and so on. So I have a bunch of Telegram channels for a bunch of the parties that are going on during Consensus Week. So that's something that I've noticed that works really, really, really well for me.
I'll add on to that last piece about the Telegram channel. Even if you're not the one to start the Telegram channel, there's usually an Excel sheet that gets shared in Telegram channels with all of the satellite events. So if you create a meetup and you add it to that sheet, and before you know it, folks are showing up, and you'll get 1,000 people.
ATXDAO made one of those sheets. It's probably the biggest or one of the biggest sheets out there. It's bit.ly/consensus events. That's the ATXDAO sheet for all the events that are happening in satellite this week. So check it out and hope to see you in many of those events.
And my tool that I love is the podcast. I still think podcast, putting yourself out there as a thought leader in a specific vertical in Web3 will allow you to get invited or, invited to these kind of conferences to speak. And as well, people might recognize your voice when you're talking out there as well. Guys, thank you very much. Where can we find you on internet?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the best way to get a hold of me is either Twitter or Instagram or Telegram. All the same handle is at DCentral.com. Like D as in like the car, the kid, like Dcentral, at Twitter, Telegram, and Instagram.
No?
Awesome. You can check us out at mintblack.io on Instagram or _IO on Twitter. More importantly, you can find us IRL at the MintBlack party on Thursday on the 19th, the 23rd at NFT NYC. Love to see you all there. It's the one of 7 featured satellite events that's open to the public. And so love to see everyone there.
Great. And I'm at HyperCasey on Twitter. Thank you very much. Round of applause for this great panel. Thank you.